The consultation's primary purpose is to create a dedicated space where female leaders within the global ecumenical community can come together to exchange experiences, reflect on systemic challenges, and develop strategies for advancing gender equity. It actively promotes justice by, for example, providing a prophetic platform where we can empower women to speak out against entrenched patriarchal practices and issues related to gender-based violence, which is something that is really escalating within our country. And by drawing on the prophetic tradition, challenging the orthodox power structures and reimagining how we as a church can come forward for our practices. It is also focusing on how best we can, for example, foster inclusive dialogue. The spirit of Ubuntu is something that we need to bring forward because we are because of each other. And we will not be able to fight this issue of gender justice or equity in isolation. So we're trying to bring together diverse voices, from pastoral religious to theologians to the ordinary woman on the street or in different organizations dealing with these issues. So the event basically cultivates intergenerational and cross-cultural dialogue that is aimed at transforming ecclesiastical structures in broader societal attitudes. The last one that we're focusing on is basically to make sure that we have catalyzed structural reforms through collaborative discussions, that we move out as a council of churches and start consultations through seeking of information and policies and practical initiatives that embed gender justice into both church governance and community outreach, and definitely making sure that we're reinforcing the Global Ecumenical Movement's commitment to a just and equitable society. It's the first time that we're really having the World Council of Churches in a very, very, very long time, more than 10 years, that we're having them over to the Council of Churches on this particular topic. And so we thought it imperative to invite a broader base of stakeholders.
And who are the key participants invited to this event, and why is their involvement important in addressing gender justice within churches and community spaces?
We would like to tackle this in the spirit of Ubuntu and ensuring that we realize, we learn that we cannot continue to operate in silos. So the key participants include not only female pastors and theologians, but it includes youth leaders, women's groups representatives, and other faith-based organizations or activists. It involves basically stakeholders like we invited the gender ministry, we invited World Action for Development, and many other groups that serve as activists in this particular topic. And if we talk about the importance, why is their involvement important? Their involvement is important because we are looking at diverse perspectives, because these leaders bring first-hand experience from both the spiritual and local community levels. They try to ensure that solutions are grounded in practical realities as well as theological insights. And as a church, if we want the stakeholders involved that are challenged with these daily issues, we're not going to find them in the church only. We need to reach out to the rest of the stakeholders. What they bring to the table is empowerment and leadership. If we center the voices of women who often navigate under representation in church leadership, the consultation reaffirms the indispensable role of women in shaping not only policy issues but also challenging oppressive norms. And then the most important of it is that we ensure that there's networking, because through networking, quite interestingly, I saw on Facebook a response from a prominent young lady who just stood up on comments that were made towards one of our female leaders in the country. And for us, whether it is physical violence, emotional violence, or any type of violence, those are the issues that we would want to tackle. So network building in this type of gathering serves to strengthen interchurch alliances and support networks that can enable all of these leaders to collectively strategize, mentor one another, and amplify their advocacy both locally and globally.
What is the significance of wearing black attire during the event, and how does it connect to the Thursdays in Black campaign against gender-based violence?
The wearing black, the color black normally is associated with so many aspects, but in this context, it is associated with, a sign of mourning, and it is, deliberate, and black is also associated with justice, But wearing black is, for us in this context, a deliberate and potent symbolic gesture that resonates with the spirit of resistance and remembrance. So by wearing black, we are showcasing that we are in solidarity in mourning and resistance. We know that black is associated, as I said in the beginning, with mourning, especially within certain cultural contexts, such as the ritual of widowhood or funerals or so. But here it is reappropriated as a sign of defiance against gender-based violence. So the color becomes a unifying emblem of sorrow for those that are harmed, those that are victims to this, and strength to demand change. And then it also lead us to connection to Thursdays in Black, where we can basically mirror the Global Thursdays in Black campaign that is under the World Council of Churches, where individuals wear black every Thursday to visibly stand in solidarity with the survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. This basically just shares a visual language that reinforces the call for accountability, challenges, societal complacency, and transforms private grief into public advocacy. So that's why we relate to that as well.
And how does this consultation support the ongoing efforts of the World Councils of Churches in fighting gender-based violence and promoting gender justice globally?
It has been many years that passed without us really forging and reaching out to have that global relationship with the World Council of Churches. For us, this consultation is strategically aligned with the World Council of Churches' broader mission of advancing justice and fostering inclusive communities. They basically, and on some of their programs, they're focusing on integrating theological reflection with activism, where we look at how best we can reinforce, how they can reinforce the WCC's commitment to a pilgrimage of justice, which is their core program, where dialogue on gender justice are not an isolated event, but integral to ongoing ecclesiastical renewal and societal transformation. It also focuses on informing policy and the different practices that we have, because the insights that are generated during the consultation may serve as inputs for advancing reform in church policies, in program designs, and advocacy strategies that target gender-based violence, making the World Council of Churches interventions more robust and contextually relevant. Most importantly, we are not only doing this for the church community, we would like to see how best we can align ourselves to the National Development Plan that has been introduced, and also the strategies that the Ministry of Gender gender equality and child welfare have out there. So we would like to align ourselves to the existing policies within the country and see how best we can be of a support structure on global and regional initiatives. And then finally also making sure that through this process we promote the strengthening of global solidarity by connecting local experiences with global frameworks. Where the consultation bolsters, cross-regional partnerships and networks, we can then from our side ensure that the fight against gender-based violence is coordinated, that it is resourceful, and that it is persistent across all levels of church and society, taking into consideration the national agenda and global agendas that we have.